If you're anxiously attached and you keep dating avoidance, you have to go back to the relationship that you have with yourself and see how you handle you-to-you anxiety. So when we are anxiously attached, it is really easy to begin focusing on our partnership. And we basically say, like, here's why I'm anxious. It's this. It is the avoidance fault, or it's my partner's fault. And these interactions keep happening. And if you're anxiously attached, you might actually have a history of dating avoidance, because these tend to be two types that attract each other. So if you want to change the pattern of dating an avoidant, you have to change the pattern of how you handle anxiety within yourself. And the way that you do this is you go back and you review how you've handled anxiety in the past that was not triggered by a person. So go back and look at situations like a big test that you took or an event that was coming up, and see how you felt. If you're a nervous test taker and you get really anxious the night before a test, what action do you take to calm yourself down? Every anxiety needs a reliever. And for anxiously attached people, we often fall into the habit of kind of leaning into that sense of escapism. And that's why we date avoidance. Because for an avoidant, everything's fine. Everything's good. Everything is calm. They are basically here. And that's because they're not feeling feelings. So it actually gives us this sense that they're calm and serene. But it's all an illusion. So when you are trying to figure out how to make yourself feel more secure in partnership, you have to learn how you calm yourself down in anxiety when you have it between you and you. So if I go back to that test scenario, if you are somebody who gets really nervous before a test, maybe growing up, your anxiety reducing technique was to actually stay up all night and play video games or read a book. Basically do anything but not think about the test. And perhaps that worked because you would study a lot, and then all of a sudden it would be like, okay, I'm out, I turned my brain off, I can't feel this anxiety anymore, we're good. Or maybe you have a really big event and you're super nervous because you want to look great and you just want to present in a certain way. And the night before the event, you actually always have this habit of picking your skin. And you suddenly learn how to relieve the anxiety by doing something to yourself. And so when you start to figure out how you relieve your own anxieties, what you might notice is the actions that you're taking in order to calm down might not be serving you anymore. And as you learn how to replace those actions with something new, and you can basically relearn how to sit in the discomfort until you find a coping mechanism that better suits you, you're going to start showing up less anxious in partnership. When you get to that space, if you're in the space where I actually can say hey, I know what makes me anxious, I've changed my patterns, I know how to reduce my anxieties. When you introduce a partner, you are then going to start dismantling your anxious responses when it comes to partnership. And of course, there are going to be those kind of onboarding periods where you're going to feel triggered. But because you have new techniques, because you have different ways of calming yourself down, you're actually going to be in the space of being able to say, is this me? Am I feeling anxious in this relationship because I'm being triggered by my partner and I now have to process this? Or is this a them thing? And I actually don't need to process this. Because once you know what your anxieties are, you're not going to be questioning if you know them or not when you're in a romantic relationship. If you guys have any more questions about this, I love this topic. I'm happy to do one on avoidance, but let me know. Leave me a comment, shoot me a DM, or check out lostgirltherapy.com for sessions.